This episode is part of the topic Moving Humans. Over the last 200 years, technology has affected every part of humanity, from the invention of the internal combustion engine to the development of electrical power infrastructure, the development of a battery cell, to portable cell phones and electrical vehicles. On every level of our lives, we are affected by technological advances. But despite this vast amount of knowledge that is available to us, we still haven't managed to move humans to reach their full potential.
It's a cold day in Cape Town and I feel like moving and jumping, and this is the right place to do that. It's also the right place to teach you how to move humans. The biggest challenge in life is to get humans to move from irresponsible or non-responsiveness to responsible, and to take care of their lives and to become self-starters and decision makers and problem solvers and go-getters. That is our biggest wish for our children. That is our biggest wish in the educational system. It's our biggest wish in the workplaces. This is our biggest challenge we're dealing with in life, is to know how to not pull and push and not carrot and stick and get the anxiety up and the willpower down, but do it the other way around, where humans' anxiety is in a state of action and where the willpower is in a state of doing. So how do we do this? We've got to understand the A2B scale on the occupational intelligence levels. So firstly, we're going to start with A0. When a human is on an A0 state, they are non-responsive. There's a task that needs to be done and you come back into the workplace and you see that task hasn't been touched, it hasn't been done at all. So they are still in a state of A0, non-responsiveness. Why are they in that state? It's because they either have no previous experiences, which means they've got no neural pathways that is built in their brain to help them with the response. Secondly, they could be totally in a state of anxiety. They can have such high anxiety that they can be in a freeze mode, and that's why they don't respond. Anxiety and lack of experiences will make them not to respond. Then they could also be so overwhelmed with so many different tasks that come at the same time that they get into the state of whatever and they absolutely do nothing, and they really just then dive into that void of empty hole of nothingness, and they can't get themselves to start responding. So a person on A0, if you are a provocateur in an ecosystem for change, your first thing would be get the anxiety down and get the volition up. Now, when a person is A0, the first thing we do is we stimulate the human on a sensory level. Sensory, so because through the senses you perceive the danger, it sends the message to the primitive brain saying, I'm not safe, I'm not okay. So you've got the senses to say, I am okay, I can. So you've got to do something that stimulates the senses. Okay, of course, it's the easiest thing to give somebody something to eat and to feel cool about, like fish and chips. And then the eating, yes, the eating is going to get happy hormones to flow. We've got to get the happy hormones to flow through the senses. So that is definitely a way to start, but it should not be seen as a type of a bribe. It should be almost part of something that you're doing, or where they can maybe participate in, maybe a 1 or 2 step that they have to do before they eat. We have to look at the oxytocin release. So oxytocin has to do with touch and belonging and feeling I'm part of something. So if one can do something where you subtly hug or take the hand with you and say, come, let us do a dance together, then what you're doing is something much more intelligent and much more deeper than just maybe holding that hand. It is actually getting oxytocin to flow inside the body. So we've got to do anything. We call it a walk-in challenge when it comes to organizations. A walk-in challenge is a very nice tool. In fact, it's a critical tool in an ecosystem for change, because think about it. The humans that's coming into the workplace, into the ecosystem, needs to be activated, and they need to respond on as high response able level as possible from the start. So if you can have something that activates the process from where they come from, where they were at their houses, transport, traffic, stresses and strains, and now there's a tool that helps them to move from that A0 to a much higher level of OI. So we've got to use the senses, we've got to secrete happy hormones and get them to laugh and dance and sing and touch and all the nice stuff, bonding and belonging, and then they get into the next level. We must stop just doing this quick fix handouts. So when you can get a human to move to responsiveness, which is A1, now the human is starting to respond. Ooh, and it's raining. So I am going to jump and I'm going to move in this session. So to move a human on an A1 level, a human is willing to respond. The problem on an A1 level is the brain of the human is unconscious of his incompetency. So they mess up, they waste material, they cause more damage. It's almost a dangerous state, more dangerous than a human that is non-responding on an A0 level. But it is the progression of the brain, and it's opening up the neural pathway development process. So we've got to get the human to be willing to respond. But humans that are full of hardwires, that's the first thing that is typical of an A1 response level. Humans are hardwired. So they don't know what they don't know, but they do things and they mess up. It's like these humans that give handouts there at the street. They are A1 in human development.
While Vivian finds some shelter from the rain, let's have a look at an insert of Vivian moving a toddler towards a higher OI level in a task.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get Linka to move from A1 to A2. So A1 means she's just exploring and having fun. Dis hey, liefie, hey, and daar's ek getreis. Ooh, ooh, ah. She's exploring at the moment. So she's just like playing, like a child just exploring and playing with clay. I'm going to get her to make something constructive. So Linka, put in. Azay! And put more in. Azay! And now Linka, come. Oh. I use touch. I help the girl to understand what the wanted response is by touching her hands and leading it towards the bowl. Take that. Yes. Wow, the girl is showing constructive response by putting her hand into the mix and shoving it into another bowl. Now I'm grading the task by adding the handling of a tool, the spoon. See how I first role model the use of the spoon, and then I give the spoon to her, but she does not respond to it. She reverts back to using her hand again. So I give up on trying to teach her to handle the tool. I will rather continue to strengthen her I can moments on putting the balls on the plate. This child is showing initiative. She knows what the next step should be. She's putting the Rice Krispie ball into a plate by her own volition. This should stem from previous experiences by observing a mother moving food from a bowl to a plate. She is now connecting two dots. This girl is synthesizing. This is coming alive in her. The toddler realizes that she knows the word for the ball. Now I use physical contact again by taking her hand to show her the rolling technique for making the Rice Krispie ball. Her concentration is too low to volutionize herself into action. She prefers to go back to her A1 exploration again. When a person resists to go into higher response, don't force it. You will just create the anxiety to go up, and all that will happen is the volition will go down. rather downgrade the activity and create deeper I can moment experiences and subtly add some more grading. Yes, there you go. Can you see how she's increasing her work speed? See how I bring counting in as a way to grade the task. Again, she takes initiative. She improves her own work speed by using 2 hands. Now she is focusing deeper in the moment. Ooh, she's taking initiative again. I affirm her again for being creative. It's a double boost to her self-esteem when she has an I can moment in the eyes of the beholder, and in this case her mother is noticing her and she's impressed with her. This one session was not enough to move her to an A2 level. It will take hundreds of similar sessions during her toddler phase. But please be very aware that this level is a most critical phase where every moment counts and where she interprets everything through her senses, observing the parents and the caregivers. And she generates either the message, I am safe, and her self-esteem grows, or I am unsafe, and the self-esteem weakens. And the anxieties and the overreactive impulses and compulsions just develop more and more. There's no better investment a parent can make for his child than to be an enthusiastic, fearless, no frenzy role model. And for a parent to equalize themselves with a child inside the physical, messy, sensory, unlimiting fun environments, where you contribute lots of animation and affirmation and repetition of 1 to 2 step I can moments, gradually improving the speed, the focus, adding delay of gratification, tool handling, task completion point consciousness, improving the norms and standards. And sooner than later, the child will graduate to an A2 level, where the child will take more steps that involves the handling of tools and materials, understands sequence, structure, task completion points, and norms and standards. A child should not enter into the A2 phase being fearful of making a mistake or fearful of not being compliant, but rather be highly volitionized for learning more and more, but with a creative approach. I'm out of the rain, it's much better. So let's go on, A1. It's such a pleasure in normal human development to work with a child that is on A1 level. So they are oblivious, they are unconscious of their incompetency, but they are in explorative phase. They want to do everything. So they are happy and I can, and they are trying to handle materials and tools inappropriately. But it's also a dangerous side because they could take a knife and hurt themselves. So very often parents come and mess up a child in this developmental phase by saying, no, be careful, don't. Wow. It is the most important phase of a child's life to be on an A1 level, to explore with materials and tools. You mustn't worry about the interior decorating on your house when your child is on A1 level. You've got to create a conducive environment for the child to explore. That's normal development.
At the end of this episode, we will observe as Vivian takes a young boy and moves him from an A2 to an A3 level in a simple task.
I'm going to teach you how to move Yuan from A2 to A3 in an activity called making a catapult. Now, moving a person from A2 to A3 is usually 2 to 5 years task to master and master and master until you are conscious and competent. But you could take a small task like this and you could get him to move from one level to a next level because he's got experience in building things like this. But now we're going to get him to get it right and to find his machine is working and he can catapult a marshmallow into the bowl. So, Johan, we are going to build a catapult. You know what's a catapult?
Yes.
What?
They use it to break down walls.
Always start with the big picture, defining the end result, the ER. Now you must build your own one. Okay, cool. Go for it. The next part of the ER is to visualize where we are going with this and why we are doing this. The real 3D example, that's your best end result for a child to follow. It gives the breadth, the width and the height, not just a 2D example on paper that is only linear and in words. Now the next step. There's your example. Stretch it, force it. You're not scared of an elastic, you just stretch it. Good, now what's the next step? Now, to complete the product, we'll get the person to the TCP, the task completion point. But if you want to get to the ER, the end result, where the I can moments awaits you, you need to get to the application of the product, trying it out and testing it. Good, are you ready? Good, now, this is step 1. The first I can moment. This is step 1 to build your catapult. This next step is you're going to now try and both. I am equalizing, being just as vulnerable, knowing just as little about the challenge as the boy, and I'm making the same mistakes. No shame, rather being volitionized by the failing forward process. Okay, let's try again. How are we going to shoot without breaking out? Whoop! Inside that bowl. There we go. Let's try. That is what task completion point is. If we get it inside the bowl. Remind him of the norm that will bring him to the ER. Hey, that's a good one. Now we must just get our angle right. Go again. Oh, wait a bit. Okay, I think we're going to grade it down. Now I realize that the challenge is too high. To prevent a potential I can't moment, I needed to grade the challenge down and make it easier to succeed. You must focus. Focus. Yes. Ooh, just carry on. Yes. Yes. Go. 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 Oh, there's one in. Ooh, it's a little bit high. Now you have to concentrate. Okay. Oh.
Yeah. Yes, I got it in. Yes. Yes. Yes.
That is so good. Another one. Another one. Let the I can moments continue until the child is deeply conscious of his competence, and do not let the session end here. The child is just tasting the finish line. He is not confidently A3 yet. Concentrate. Now you must concentrate, and now you get it in.
Yes. Yes.
A change agent parent will know how important it is to lay the A3 foundation deeply. So what needs to happen next is that the boy must try to build a catapult on his own time without any supervision. And then thereafter, he needs to go teach the catapult to his peers. And the photo moment will affirm his A3 level forever. And do not forget to develop a photo album of all the tasks that he gets to master on an A3 level.
Wouldn't it be wonderful if we can see more I can moments around us?